I promised myself 12 months ago that I wouldn't drink again.
Welcome back to Still Not Drunk. What's up? Thank you for coming and being here and listening. I'm Aidan Jones. This is a podcast about drinking, hosted by a comedian who doesn't drink. That's me. I already said who I am. This week on the podcast, mate, what do I want to say? First of all, before I say who's on the pod, I mean, it's Milo Edwards. You know from the title. You've seen it. But I guess just a bit of like housekeeping on the podcast. I am, obviously it's so early in. This is episode 4. And I guess I'm still like learning each week about how to like do the intro and how to kind of frame these chats that I'm having, because the chats themselves are the best part. They're so fun. I really am enjoying like getting to know people that I don't know, or good friends of mine who I do know, learning a bit more about their history and putting that into context with like their relationship with alcohol or whatever. I've got so many episodes banked, man. I think I've got like 17 because before I started this, I was like, oh, what if I don't have enough? So I just went nuts and recorded like heaps in April during the Melbourne Comedy Festival. So I want to get through as I learn more about interviewing and like just talking to people and trying to be more open and listen better and ask good questions and whatever. I feel like some of the older interviews I have, they're not bad conversations, but I feel like I've learnt so much that I want to get the new ones out. So I'm kind of excited about this. I thought Dry July's coming up. I might try and burn through a bunch of these episodes by releasing 2 episodes of the podcast a week for the month of July. So I reckon I will release on like maybe Monday and Thursday, I reckon. Something like that. We'll see how we go, but that's kind of the plan, because I got a bunch of sick conversations in there and I got to get through them. So I reckon that could be a fun way to do it. And you know what else it'll do? It'll mean that there's 2 lots of downloads a week, and that will push the podcast up the charts, which is crucial. I've been listening to James Donald Forbes McCann's Catamaran Plan, where he talks all about marketing, and it's got me fucking thinking about it. So that's sick. Anyway, enough of that. That's what's coming, right? So look forward to that in July. This week, we got Milo Edwards, a dear, dear friend of mine and a wonderful man, a great comedian, one of the hosts of the Trash Future podcast, also the Masters of Our Domain podcast. So Trash Future is like a lefty, it's like tech meets dystopian future, and they kind of make jokes about tech culture and all the bullshit in the world. It's kind of political. Great podcast, very popular, very funny. And then Masters of Our Domain is another podcast with a different friend of his, Phoebe. I can't remember Phoebe's last name. It's about Seinfeld. They're both great podcasts. Milo's also a touring comedian. He's British, and I'm just on his website here. He's got 4 stars, Broadway Baby, 5 stars, Broadway Baby, 4 stars, Bruce Dessau, 3 weeks. He's got a bunch of sick reviews. His shows are so good. He's a very clever comedian. And I don't like, he is very arrogant and condescending. Sardonic is the way that he puts it. But it's hilarious the way that he does it. And he's just, I mean, he's one of the smartest dudes I know and one of the quickest, funniest dudes I know. We met at this horrific gig. We talk about it on the podcast. We met at this horrific gig on the south coast of England in 2017. And I remember we got driven to this gig, and then me and him kind of got like talking in the car, and then decided that we were going to be mates and broke off from the rest of the people who were going somewhere to eat dinner. And I think me and him went for like a walk along the jetty and just bonded over like how shit this gig was that we were about to do. And then later that year in Edinburgh, we sat down and recorded one of the first episodes of Trash Future. Pretty cool. So, we talk about him growing up in Essex. He went to Cambridge as well, so we talk about the drinking culture there. I realize now, and this is the thing about these interviews, man, I'm getting better. I wouldn't make this mistake now, because this was the first one, because Milo's such a good friend, I was like, I know it'll be great just to have him for the first one while I learn about interviewing. And I didn't ask him about, he lived in Russia for like 3 years. Aidan, you fucking idiot. So I don't even know why I'm bringing it up because we don't talk about it, but he did. It's really interesting stuff. He had a podcast that was in Russian as well. If you got any Russian friends, put them on a Milo Edwards, eh? Because we don't talk about it in this interview. The drink for this week is Lightning Minds, the Lightning Minds Pale Ale from Lightning Minds. I don't know where Brightening Minds comes in. Maybe that's a little tagline, but it's the Lightning Minds Pale Ale. They're a brewery out of WA. I'm on their website now. It's a great beer, man. I really loved it. I had it one time when I was in Perth. Nice to get it again. Lightning Minds is a non-alc craft beer brand founded by Michael Payne in 2021. It's become a driving force in Michael's quest to establish a more positive and balanced lifestyle regarding his approach to alcohol and beyond. Huh? He's going beyond, mate. I really like the can here. It's kind of got a vintage nostalgic. It's like yellow, clean lines. It's not trying to be all funky and fancy, but it's like it's very distinctive, and I like yellow. I think I really love the color yellow. I'm learning that about myself. Anyway, he says, whether you're ditching the drink entirely or taking a breather mid-session, Lightning Minds is here to help you strike a healthy balance with a crisp, refreshing, and full-flavored beer in hand. So cop one of those, man. It was sick. And while you're at it, if you're online, get onto anadrinks.com.au. They are the sponsor for the podcast. This and every week, they are an online store. You can buy all your alcohol-free stuff. They're so good. They've got everything that you can do. They got beer, they got wine, they got spirits, they got all mixes, all different stuff, everything that you can get. Pretty much anything. If you can get it in Australia, you can get it on anadrinks.com.au. So get onto their website and order your stuff today. They deliver all over Australia. And with that, we are into the episode, mate. Also, before we kick it off, if you're liking the pod, please give us 5 stars on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you're listening to it. Follow the Instagram, tell your friends, do all of that shit. And thank you very much for listening. And now enjoy this conversation with me and my good friend, the very, very funny Milo Edwards. Room.
In my own room.
As you just said. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, don't be judging the setup of my room.
Yeah, this is we were just talking shit the other week about the awful fucking art in this Airbnb.
The art is really bad, and it's for sale.
It's for sale. How much did you say it was again?
It was like they said that the big ones are several $1,000s and the small ones are several hundred.
Incredible.
I used to date someone who ran an art gallery, and if you spend several thousand Australian dollars in an art gallery, you can buy like proper art that will like increase in value.
Some legit stuff, not just something that your Airbnb that's already charging you $1,500 for the month to be in a single room in Carlton.
Let's be clear, $3,000.
$3,000? Oh,
it's £1,500.
Yeah. Oh my god! What the fuck?
Like, it's a nice room, but it ain't that nice.
Jesus, man. My rent for a month is $650
yeah.
for pretty much this, actually. My room is maybe slightly smaller than this, and it is in Coburg.
I'm paying, like, Singapore prices.
That's insane. $3,000. Fuck, man. That should include one of the works of art.
Yeah,
you should be leaving here with a fucking weird picture of a lighthouse tucked under your arm.
Getting on a flight to Bali with that and like getting it through Indonesian customs and being like, oh, it has no cash value, don't worry.
This is horrific. But you're loving the food and shit in Australia, how you told me.
The food is great.
I should fucking introduce you. You're a comedian from the UK and we've known each other for 6 years.
Quite a while now.
7 years, something
Probably,
like
was
that.
Was it like 2017 we worked out? We did that first gig together.
We met in a romantic walk down a jetty in Eastbourne before one of the worst gigs I've ever done. I think.
Oi oi comedy gym. Who could forget? I mean, look, I don't want to piss him off. You know, he's a big player in the comedy industry.
Look, I'm moving over there, mate, and you better believe Oi Oi Comedy Gym will be getting an email when I touch down in the UK.
Oh, absolutely. You need that maybe 25 quid that you can get for going and doing that gig in Eastbourne where you stand on some stairs in a shop front.
You know who else I met on that gig, who probably people listening to this podcast won't know, but what's the show where people ice skate and like dance, like ice on TV?
Oh, like Dancing
with
on
the
Ice.
Stars, Dancing on Ice.
Yeah,
Dancing on Ice is Darren Harriott. I met at one of those gigs in Eastbourne in like 2014.
That is what he's known for, is dancing on ice.
What I'm trying to say is the alumnus of Oi Oi Comedy Gym's gigs are many and varied.
It's a networking event. That's what people don't tell you,
yes,
right?
That's what the $25 is, a nominal fee, but the networking connections you'll make are priceless.
You'll notice that all of the people at the very top of the British media all know each other from Oi Oi Comedy Gym adjacent events.
But so, this is your first like extended stay in Australia. You were here for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it was like 3 weeks back
around.
in November. Yeah, scooting. I went everywhere.
Yeah.
We did Brisbane, we did Sydney, we did Melbourne, we even did Canberra.
And you drove to Canberra?
We did, yeah.
So, but this is your first time, like you're in Melbourne for the month now.
Yeah, I went to Perth, which was fun.
Yeah, you like Perth?
I liked Perth, yeah. I know it's like, that's a controversial opinion in Australia, but I went to Perth and I was like, man, if this was in Britain, it would be like the best place in Britain. Like what? Like
it's a beautiful city, but it's just too bad there's literally nothing for 2 days in any direction.
Yeah, that is unfortunate.
There's ocean and there's desert.
Yeah, but if you want to leave a guy for dead in the middle of the desert, what better place to live?
Did I ever tell you when I was in Kalgoorlie? I might have told you this story.
Oh, you did, yeah.
That my dad's bowls club, his like the bartender at the bowls club in Kalgoorlie.
It's very funny that a mining town has a bowls club.
They got 2, mate, and
like
only 2.
Horny-handed men of toil who on the weekend are like a little bit of lawn bowls. Like just in like a fucking singlet, like on the bowls green, just like full sleeve of tattoos, like, you fucking dog, that's my wood.
And they hate each other. They all like all the guys who play bowls at the one club, they're bros, and the other club, they're all bros, but then like they're like the Capulets and the Montagues, you know?
Oh, right, yeah,
they'll never meet. The two Kalgoorlie
stabbing
and
each
Boulder.
other over a game of lawn bowls.
Yeah, they hate each other, man. That's all that. Yeah, but no, the guy at the bowls club who was working behind the bar, he was working years before that at a bottle shop and beat a man for stealing booze within an inch of his life, and then him and his friends took him out into the desert and left him there. But the guy didn't die, luckily or unluckily.
Yeah.
You know, like I guess unlucky because they were trying to kill him, but lucky because
then
that guy didn't
go
spend
to
the rest of his
prison
life.
forever. And lucky for the guy, certainly.
Yeah, lucky for the guy. Or I don't know. I mean, if he's robbing from a bottle shop in Kalgoorlie, maybe the sweet release of death could be.
Yeah. I can't imagine his life really turned around after that. It seems unlike. I mean, I've got hope for him. You know, I hope he's doing well. But I feel like generally with those kind of situations, it does tend to become a kind of vicious cycle.
This is true, mate.
Yeah.
I guess you know what, Perth actually is a nice segue into our beer today. So what this podcast is, I should explain, is going to sit down with a different comic every week. We're going to drink alcohol-free beers because I don't drink. You drink though, don't you?
I do, but not very much.
Okay.
I think, and that's the reason why I'll never stop drinking, probably.
Because you don't drink heaps.
Because I don't need to. Like, there's a big thing, like, because British people drink a lot on the whole, I would say.
Yeah.
And every year you get all the people who are boring the arse off you all January about how they're doing dry January. And I'm like, buddy, how about just moderate your drinking in general? And then you don't have to be a boring cunt all of January.
There you go. Just have like 1 or 2 days. So you do what, like once a week, something like that?
Probably, yeah. I mean, it varies a lot. It depends what I'm doing. Like, I mean, obviously, it's the festival now, so I'm probably having, like, 1 drink most days because you just do it to be social. But if I'm at home on my own, I would never have a beer or... Even if I'm at home, just, like, me and my girlfriend, it'd be quite unusual if we, like, opened a bottle of wine with dinner or whatever. Like,
yeah, okay.
Maybe at the weekend, but, yeah.
That's the kind of drinking that I would like to do. I should... I'll explain what we've got here. So, by the way, before we crack on with these... Big shout outs to A&A Drinks. These are an alcohol-free store.
Western Australia Pale Ale. Here we go.
Mate, so A&A Drinks deliver all around Australia and they were kind enough to supply me with some of these. If you go on anadrinks.com.au, you can get all your alcohol-free stuff on there.
So this is technically an alcoholic beer, but it's just very low, right? This is 0.5%.
I count these
so if
as
you drink like
alcohol-free.
25 of these.
I've heard, so I was making jokes about that in my alcohol-free reviews, but I've heard that this has the same amount of alcohol as a banana. Because the sugar in a banana still like turns into alcohol or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Because I was joking about like how many, like I think you would have to drink 30 in an hour to get over the legal limit to drive. And then someone was like, actually, I think you'll find bananas also, you know. So
that's why monkeys are so cheerful all the time.
That's why monkeys are always punching each other and jacking off in trees.
I look at like the monkey wife and the husband comes home, she's like, oh, he's been on the fucking bananas again. But he's terrible when he comes in after he's had 45 bananas.
These are, Lightning Minds from WA, so a Perth beer.
Yeah.
And I've not actually, I think I tried them once. It was really hard to find on their website that they were from Perth. Maybe they're trying to like, be like, we're from everywhere. You know how places are like, don't say, have you ever done regional radio and they're like, don't say where we're recording this because we like people to believe that we're like,
we could be anywhere.
Yeah. Have you done?
We like to keep people in a state of fear. Like we could be next to them right now.
We're recording this from under your staircase, mate.
So I'm in your fucking wardrobe, cunt.
And I'm funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my name's Chipper.
The radio show is coming from inside the house.
I think is that a thing that you've experienced though in the UK, or maybe that's an Australia thing. I did radio in Perth once. And they were like, don't say where we are because we broadcast to like northern WA.
We could be in Broome. We could be in Kalgoorlie. They don't know.
They want plausible deniability. And it's good for alibis as well.
They're afraid of drone strikes.
Hitting the station because they were doing too many hard-hitting interviews about local comedians playing to rooms above pubs.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that is dangerous. That could upset the whole political balance of Western Australia.
But... yeah, that's what I noticed on their website. No, like, hey, we're from WA, but it's on WA here. You liked Perth, you said?
Yeah, I did like it. I thought it was good. And they very much, the people of Perth, they really rep it, you know. They're like very, they're evangelists for their town.
Yeah.
I had there was like a drunk girl hitting on me in a bar in Perth who was trying to convince me to move to Perth. And I was like, with the best, like, I like Perth. I led with that. I'm like, I think it's a nice town. I'm not going to live here. She's like, why not?
She was trying to lock you down early doors.
It was really aggressive. You know? Like for just being like, look, this is I see this going somewhere. Are you going to move here or not? Because I want
totally.
That. I want that kind of
Before I
commitment.
make out with you and really seal this deal forever, I need to know: are you willing to up sticks and move to Rockingham?
Yeah, and then I was just trying to explain why it would be impractical for me. I was like, I could maybe move to Australia, but I was like, as a touring comedian, it would make no sense to live in Perth. And she's like, why not? And I'm like, well, because you need to go lots of places all the time, and there's no places near. It's like the one place for like thousands of miles.
There's no other places.
Yeah. I'm like, it would be so annoying.
Fuck, man. That's fun. Was that after a gig? Had she seen you at the gig?
No, this was even funnier. So I did the early show at the Oasis Comedy Club. Shouts out to them. Lovely bunch of lads.
Brendan Maloney out there doing his thing.
Yeah. He sadly had COVID at the time, so I
did
didn't see him.
You didn't get to hang with Brendan.
But Pete Sharkey looked after me.
Oh, Pete Sharkey is a blast from the past. Pete Sharkey used to do comedy in Melbourne when I first started and ran one of the coolest rooms to this day in Melbourne Comedy. And he's got that voice, right? He's got a very distinctive voice. He always used to say to me, he was annoyed when people would call me Taco because he's like, it's Taco. And then he'd do an imitation of them. He'd be like, oh, it's Taco, Taco, Taco. I just remember him having a very endearingly squeaky voice.
Yeah. I think I only ever spoke to him once, so I'm probably not very well qualified on his voice. But, so then they had a lineup show that was on later, which Sam Taunton was doing. Another shouts out to him.
Big shouts out to the project, Sam Taunton.
Yeah. So I went for dinner, and then I came back and I met Sam after his show, and this girl had been at his show.
Nice.
And then was kind of chatting to him, and then immediately sort of like switched on to me for whatever reason. She's
trying to pick the person who lives furthest away from her town.
Yeah. You know, Sam Taunton's a good-looking man, and you've seen him do comedy. Yeah. I don't understand what the Well, the reason, my girlfriend's often telling me that she finds Sam Taunton attractive. And I'm like, stop telling me.
That's really funny. Does she actually?
I think so.
Yeah, because your girlfriend works in comedy. That'd be funny. She's just trying to...
You're just trying to trade up. She wants a guy who's on TV. I'll take Australian TV. Fuck it. Anyway, so that was how I encountered it. Because I think Sam introduced me. He's like, Milo's also a comic. He did a show here earlier. And then she was like, comics, good enough for me.
Yeah, great. Sick.
She was very, very drunk.
Yeah, of course.
And so it was a lot of me just being like, yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
At one point she started stroking my face. And I was like, this feels like a lot. Because it wasn't even that late. It was like, 10 p.m.
That's such a weird dynamic, isn't it? When someone's very drunk and you're talking to them and you don't want to be a dick. But it's like, even if you were a dick to someone who's super drunk, they probably wouldn't remember. But just the part of you that doesn't want to do it. Like, you could probably have walked off from her stroking your face, and like 10 seconds later, she would have been like, I'm having a nice night by myself in this pub.
Yeah. So the funniest part was that she had a friend with her who was like not drunk, who was like, you see this so often in like, I think, female friendship dynamics where there's like the kind of the more sensible friend who has her shit together, gets slightly less male attention, and then she has like the messy drunk hot friend. That was kind of the dynamic between the two. And you can see like her friend's she's a bit done with it for this evening. And then at a certain point, I'd been chatting to the friend, and both of them, but the friend was listening more.
Yeah, okay.
Because the other one was like, woo, I've had 14 margaritas. Yeah. And I was talking about, they were asking me where I live, and I was like, I live in my parents' house because me and my siblings inherited it and this kind of stuff. And then 2 minutes later, the drunk girl goes, what do your parents think about you doing comedy? And I'm like, well, they don't think anything because they're dead. And then she's like, oh my God, I didn't know that. I'm so sorry. And then like her friend's like, he just said it like 2 minutes ago.
Oh, that's sick. And she was too busy going, woo, yaha.
Too busy stroking my face. I really, I was being objectified, right? She wasn't interested in what I had to say.
That's true. She wasn't interested in your dead parents. She was just interested in your gorgeous, smooth visage.
That's right. Yeah. That's what she wanted.
Oh, man.
So yeah, that was a pretty funny night.
That is, and you weren't drinking that. Is that? Do you find it hard to go to a pub? Like, were you drinking? Did you have one or two or something like that?
Yeah, I maybe had like a couple of gin and tonics, which in drinking terms is basically nothing.
Yeah, totally.
It's like you're sober after 2 gin and tonics.
Do you get drunk? Do you like to get drunk?
Not really. I mean, on occasion maybe, but like I definitely I feel as though I had some drinking incident, like kind of like late teens, early 20s, like drinking things where I'm just like the next day where I'm like, I feel awful. I have like said and done things I regret. I feel like, and so I kind of, at some point in my early 20s, I kind of like stopped drinking like a lot.
Man.
And kind of moved into like just having a bit. I mean, there have been slip ups, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, totally. That's so sick. I wish I could have fucking done, like, I would get so excited before I would drink, I'm like, here's an opportunity, a 3-day window where I'm going to be able to drink. I can't wait. And then after 6 of those hours, I'm like, it's game over.
Yeah, when you're really hounding it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I just always liked drugs more.
Okay, yes.
I was always like, I could be drunk and I'm always just like, this is fun, but I'm not like euphoric. I'm not like having the best night ever. I'm just like, yeah, it's fun.
Where did you grow up again? Where in the UK?
In Essex. So like just outside London. Yeah.
What's that like drinking there? What's your first time that you remember? Like, is it like a thing that you would look forward to when you were young?
I mean, I guess when you're a teenager, it's like exciting, right? Because it's like kind of has that piquant, like you're not supposed to be doing it, sort of thing.
And where are you drinking?
And so we used to like, I think when I was at school, we'd go to a lot of like house parties. I probably started drinking like unsupervised, I would say, when I was like maybe like 13 or something.
Wow, young.
But that's very British though.
That is British, isn't it? You guys drink and fuck so early.
Yeah, and not so much the fucking for me, but definitely the drinking. And then that, because it's kind of like, your parents will just facilitate it, I would say. Like, because they're just kind of like, well, they're going to drink, so we may as well. Like, they're at a house party. There's like some parents are there. Like, we'll send everyone with a few beers.
Totally.
And, like, no one got that out of hand, to be honest. I can't really remember like being 13, 14 and like people like throwing up or anything.
Okay.
It was just kind of like.
Are we talking house party with like 10, 20 people or like 50, 60?
Probably like middle of that range, maybe like 20 to 35, something like that. Yeah.
And like little speakers with like someone playing their favorite CD.
Classic.
We're
talking LaRue's Bulletproof.
Oh yes, baby.
Yeah. We're talking Low by Flow Rider.
Yeah.
It's the
right. So are people getting low, like in the lounge room with like the piano there? Like...
It's the mid 2000s. Oh yeah, a lot of it was outside. There tended to be more of a summer event, or a lot of people in Britain have conservatories.
What is a conservatory?
The middle ground between inside and outside. It's kind of like a greenhouse, but tacked onto your house.
The only way I know the word conservatory is the place that you go to learn how to play classical music at university.
Oh, yeah. So it's like, I don't know, they were sort of popular in the 19th century, like, but they would call it like an orangery. Like you'd have like a glass extension on your house, and the idea was that it was like warm and you could grow like warm plants and stuff in there.
Okay.
But in reality, in Britain, they're like ugly PVC extensions that became popular in like the 80s. And they just have like glass, because there's like a planning exemption if you have something that doesn't have an opaque roof, or there was back in the day. So as long as you had something that was all glass, you didn't have to get permission from the council.
Oh, nice.
To, like,
so you could just put
house.
like see-through plastic roof.
Yeah.
And that's like a tent as far as the council are concerned.
Exactly. But the thing is that they're boiling in the summer and freezing in the winter. They're absolutely dreadful pieces of architecture. They're ugly as fuck. But lots of people in the UK have them. And so often the parties would take place like adjacent to the conservatory or outside if it was warm enough. That was a popular venue.
Yeah, sick. And so you're going to this party with your like 6 beers?
Yeah. Or like a crate of fucking TVX. Did you ever have that in Australia?
What's TVX?
It was kind of like a Smirnoff Ice or a WKD or something like an Alka Pop.
Yeah.
I just remember those being cheap. I mean, probably Bacardi Breezes floating around back in the... that's a blast from the past right there, isn't it?
Yeah, totally, man. I used to love... Did you ever do snorkels where you have a bendy straw and you put one end of the straw down the thing and the other end outside, so it's like a snorkel, and then you can drink the whole thing?
We'd call that a strawpedo.
We called it a strawpedo as well. I thought I was making it your...
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, because we had Thorpe. Like Ian Thorpe was a swimmer in the Olympics. So the torpedo. So it was the strawpedo.
It's not a nickname you'd want these days, is it?
The torpedo.
Yeah, especially not when you're wearing, those little trunks.
You don't reckon?
Yeah.
I guess
it's too adjacent.
Yeah, it's too cancel adjacent, but he's a queer man, you know?
Okay, yeah.
He's a kind queer man, so you can't... uncancelable.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
He's got
he's
it.
Not like us.
He's threaded the needle.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was... I remember there was like a joke... I can't remember if it was like a comedian or if it was like a street joke, but there was like one where it was like... I've been trying to scare all these kids out of them. They keep fucking around in my field, so I've put up a strawpedo.
I get it. A straw. Oh,
like
I
do get
it.
Yeah.
A strawpedo. That's a good joke.
Yeah,
I like that. Fuck. Do you remember?
It's like a pun on something which is itself a pun.
Yes.
We're in the metaverse.
Yeah. And also but it's a very literal pun in that you just you break the two words up and it becomes, the thing that you're looking for.
Exactly.
Do you remember getting drunk at any of these parties? Do you remember the first time you got drunk?
The first time I got drunk, I mean, not really, because it's so long ago. But there were definitely like a lot of times where I was like a bit pissed. But I think that early period of drinking, I probably got less drunk than I did later.
Okay.
I think I probably got way more drunk like at university than I ever did as a teenager, because we'd go to like, Cambridge was so weird because they'd have like dinners.
Because you went to Cambridge University, right?
Yeah. I try not to bring it up, but there were. So like, you had to like eat in your college dining hall a lot.
Sure.
And you could go either to the servery, which was earlier, and it was just like a cafeteria. You got a tray, whatever. It was kind of more chill. Or you could go to the formal hall, which was cheap, but you had to wear like a gown, and it was like a 3-course meal. And you could bring in an entire bottle of wine, so that you just from the bar or from the supermarket, and you had to pay, I think, like £1 to bring it in.
Oh.
And so like everyone would just bring in one each.
Yeah.
And like when you're like 19 and you're drinking an entire bottle of wine with dinner, I mean, you are absolutely blasted.
And the thing about bringing a bottle of wine in and being 19 is if you're bringing a bottle of wine, you're drinking a bottle of wine. You're not drinking half and taking it home. You're like, I'm drinking all of this and I'm going to bring another one in case I finish the first one so I don't have to stop. That was always my vibe. I was like, I don't want to not have enough, but then if I've got too much, I don't want to leave with any, so I'm going to drink all of it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's finding the biting point. They don't sell a bottle and a half of wine. You can't buy one. And so, and particularly at my college, because they had this tradition, which is a bit lame, but they had this really involved game called pennying, where there were like people would like pass out official rules to this of new students, which was a game where the fundamental point of the game was you could throw a 1p coin in the UK, which is like a tiny little copper coin, into someone's glass, and they had to finish what was in there.
Right.
And the rule was if the glass was empty, they had to fill it all the way up and then finish it. But there were like other rules, like if there was another penny in there, and you pennied them, then you would have to drink. It was kind of,
right.
But because it was like, it wasn't just like a normal drinking game where you had to drink like 2 fingers or whatever. It was like an entire glass of wine.
Yes.
So the trick was to keep like a third of a glass of wine in your glass all the time.
Yeah.
So that if you got pennied, it wasn't much.
Right. So you're trying to drink the first half at your own speed, but kind of quick, and then sit somewhere in the middle and take the tiniest sips.
Yeah. Because if they're holding their glass when you do it, then again, that's on you.
Oh.
And so there were like so many rules. Like, it was like if you were drinking it and you managed to catch the penny in your teeth, then they had to drink as well. It was like I'm sure we all got horrific poisons from doing this.
I've completely forgot about this, but I should totally be asking people about drinking games. So did you play Kings over there?
Is that like where people have to pour the drink in the cup, like Ring of Fire?
Yes, Ring of Fire.
Yeah, we'd call that Ring of Fire, but yeah.
Man, I had a New Year's ruined one year through a game of Kings because I was having each card has a rule, right? One, two, I can't remember what one. Aces, King has put it in the cup. I can't remember what ace is, but 2 is you, 3 is me, and like 2 fingers, 3 fingers, whatever, and 4.
Like 5 is guys or something.
Yeah,
or
6 is chicks, stuff like that. And I remember the 4, I always played that the 4 was the rule card. So I was like, if you get a 4, you make up a rule and then that has to be abided by for the rest of the game, whatever rule you want. But this girl was like, I reckon 4 is Thumb Master, where you get to put your thumb on the table.
And then the last person to put their thumb on the table has to drink. Yeah.
And we were arguing, this must have been like 20, it was in London. This is like 2015. And I was like, at one point I was like jokingly like, oh, you don't know anything. You're a fucking idiot. You don't know anything. And her boyfriend, I guess, thought that me and her would get... It was just all bad vibes. I didn't know these people. It was just like a little party. And her boyfriend, I think, thought that I was like flirting with her and jumped across the table and tried to punch me. And then my mate jumped in the way. And then he like tried to king hit my mate. The New Year's split up. We spent New Year's in a park.
That's
because
incredible.
of a fight over the rule of the number 4 card in a game of King's Cup.
That is very funny.
Yeah.
I was at a party recently in London where someone tried to start a fight with me, and I just thought it was so funny because it was like a really like a low key like drinks party at someone's house.
And like we're in our 30s now.
And this guy was just hammered, and then just was like, what's your fucking problem, mate? And I'm just like, what? What? You like literally? I hadn't even been talking to the guy. It was like a full on. And then he was like squaring up to me, being like, "I'm gonna knock you out." And then I was like, and he was so drunk, I was just kind of like, go on then. Yeah. like, I was like, honestly, if he hits me, that would be so funny.
Yeah, wow.
Like, that would be an amazing story. And in the end, Phoebe, 5'2" but scary.
Yes. Terrifying woman.
Was like, you're absolutely not fucking doing that. And he was like, sorry, miss.
Whoa, sick.
Yeah.
Oh, that rocks. Have you ever been in a fight?
Yeah, but like not since I was like 20.
Yeah, I was never a fight dude. I'm a little boy, you know.
Yeah, I know. I've always been a scrapper.
Oh, really? A scrapper?
Well, because again,
I didn't know this about you.
I would never start a fight. I'm not like an aggro person.
Yeah, no, you're definitely not.
But yeah, like because I went to school in the UK, which is a very like I think when you're a boy at school in the UK, it revolves especially in Essex. It revolves heavily around physical violence.
Okay, sick.
At most, like, you know, the girls are there calling each other fat or whatever, but like the boys are just hitting each other. Like that's what. And so there was a lot of like, I definitely like the red mist descends. Like if someone hits me, I don't care how big they are, I will hit them back.
Yeah, right.
I once knocked one of the teeth out of the captain of the school rugby team, who was like a foot taller than me.
Man, that's a win. That's a win for a 20-year-old. No, not even 20. What are you, 17?
Oh, no. I was way younger then. I was like 13, and I was about 5'3". And he was like 6'2".
This guy's massive.
Yeah.
Did you have to jump up to hit his face?
Yeah, I bounced off the bottom step of a staircase. Really got some of that leg power into there.
Oh, man, that rocks.
Yeah, because he'd like knocked me down, and then he like turned away to like laugh about it.
This is funny, right? Because I'm like... You know, on one hand, I mean, this is a podcast that's going out to whoever, and I don't want to condone violence because being in a fight is dumb. But on the other hand, that's sick. Like, I still want to pay. You know? I want to give credit to the fact that you, as a tiny 13-year-old, punched a fucking rugby captain in the face and knocked his tooth out. Can we have those two at the same time? Can I not condone violence and congratulate my friend?
Exactly. It was beautiful. Well, also the funniest thing was that it was my birthday. And the teacher who like broke it up was like really like having a go at me. And I'm like, I don't know what you're having a go at me about. He hit me, I hit him back. Have a go at him. Like, I wasn't going to hit him.
Yeah. If he hit you, he should have knocked you out.
Yeah. And then he was like, well, I'm going to call your mum. And at this point I was like, please call my mum. Make my fucking day. Call my mother and see what she said. Because, like, my mother was, like, fucking, like, she would not take any shit from some cunt that's got, like, and so he phones her up, and then she's like, yeah, and then he's like, yeah, Milo, I'm putting him in detention because he's hit someone at school. And my mom's like, oh, that's funny. And then she's like, who did he hit? And then he's like, oh, I'm not going to say his name. The captain of the school rugby team. And then she's like, oh, that's weird. How did that go down? And then he's like, well, I don't know. And she's like, so did Milo hit him first? And he's like, and she's like, well, because isn't he 6'2"? And then the guy's like, yeah. And she's like, so I think we can safely say that Milo didn't hit him first. So what's happened is he's hit Milo and Milo's hit him back. So I don't know why the fuck you're calling me.
Oh, that's sick, man.
And I just stood there while I can like hear him, like my mum's like yelling at him on the phone, like, don't fucking call me at work about
why
this shit.
Why was this teacher not like thinking about that? What a loser.
I know. Again, very, very like British teacher energy.
Yeah. Has to take the side of the rugby captain. Is that what that is?
No, just this kind of like, my school had this very like mealy mouth, like rules are rules thing. Like, well, he might have hit you first, but you shouldn't have hit him back. And I'm like, no, I know, actually I should have done. That was actually the correct course of action.
He had to get hit at some point.
Because he's not going to fucking hit me again, is he? And like, whereas if I'd have gone, so he hit me, like then he would have hit me again the next day. Like that,
of course, forever.
Like, so don't piss in my pocket and tell me it's raining.
That's nice. I like that. What are you thinking of this beer, by the way? We're like a bit of the way into the beer. Tell me your thoughts.
It's tangy. I think you can definitely tell it's an alcohol-free beer. It has that like slightly like metallic-y thing going on, but it's pretty nice.
Interesting.
I don't drink a lot of alcohol-free beers because I kind of I just get a Diet Coke or something. I'm not really like a...
Do you drink... Yeah, you drink a lot of regular beers though, hey?
Yeah, but not a huge amount.
But I've been sober for like 3.5 coming on 4 years, so I've forgotten what regular beers taste like. You can tell there's something in this that tastes like it's an alcohol-free?
Yeah, I mean, it's also a pale ale, so that kind of has a...
Yeah.
Some pale ales of regular beer are like pretty metallic-y too. But I think there is like a slight difference, but the alcohol beers have gotten a lot better.
Yes.
Well, that's what people tell me. I don't really drink them.
Well, I reckon it's pretty nice. It's not like... There's better ones out there, but I'm saying this is pretty good. I also like the can. The can feels like kind of funky and different. Lightning minds, brightening minds, bit of poetry there.
It's got that real WA styling, you know. If
you had to rate this, what do you reckon first of all, if you were like looking at this on a shelf?
Oh, the can? I think the can is good. I think that's about as good as the can gets.
Yeah.
It looks trustworthy. You know, sometimes you see a can and you're just like, there's no way that's good.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck this is. You know the ones when you can see that it's stuck on with a label?
Oh, no,
It's just like a plain can, and then the label is just like paper, and it's like wonky.
It's a bit like, I think you were talking about this in your documentary the other day about how when you get a flyer for a show and you're like, there's no way that's good. Like the person who designed that flyer is a lunatic. You kind of want to drink the worst one just to be like, what the fuck is this going to be like? Yeah, like you see like a flyer that's clearly been made in like word art, and you're like, I need to see this show.
100%.
It's going to be dreadful, but I need to understand it.
Here's the thing. I don't know if this will be applicable to like other people who aren't sober people, but for me as well, when I drink something, I'm kind of conscious of the fact, I'm self-conscious that I'm not drinking, so I want the thing that I'm drinking to like make me blend in. And I feel like this would do that. Like it's kind of cool that people would be like, oh, that's interesting. Like, what's that? I've not seen that before. This has that. So I think that's like a bonus for that.
Okay, yeah, that's nice.
And then the taste. What would you rate the taste out of 5, do you reckon?
It's probably like a 3.5. It's all right.
Yeah, it's all right, hey?
Yeah, it's not bad.
I'm gonna give it a 3 for taste.
Yeah, if someone gave you that, you'd be like, fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a big gin and tonic drinker. because I'm driving a lot, so I find that if I have like a couple of pints, I'll still be like legal to drive, but I might just be a little bit, kind of cloudy.
Yeah.
Whereas if I have 2 gin and tonics, like I'll be like dead sober. Like they'll
really?
be like, no,
you're all fine.
Well, because speaking in the UK, like a measure of gin is like 25 ml, so it's like nothing. If you have 2 of those over the course of an hour, like you're not going to feel. You'd have to drink like more than 5 to really be like drunk or.
Totally. You were saying before that you had some, like, so you used to drink in your early 20s and then you had some nights where you were like, no more of that. Do you ever remember a real like time when you got really drunk or like real hungover?
Yeah, fuck. I was thinking about this earlier actually when you were talking about drinking games because they were like, so like Ring of Fire that we were talking about is like a real like, that's like a real standard drinking game I would say in the UK. It's like kind of, but then I think Oxford and Cambridge had like much weirder drinking games.
That does make sense.
Like if I would go and visit mates at other unis, they would like play Ring of Fire in their kitchen or whatever. But I don't think I ever played it at Cambridge. Like it would always be like I remember like a lot of guys that used to like playing fives. Fives is a game. It's not per se a drinking game, but you can make it a drinking game where you just everyone puts one hand or 2 hands in a circle, and then it goes around the circle like whose turn it is, and when it's your turn, you count 3, 2, 1, and then everyone in the circle has to show either 5 or 0 or 10 or 0 if you're playing with 2 hands, and then you have to when they do that, you have to say how many the total is. So when there's like a lot of people playing, it's pretty hard. If you get it right, then you can take your hand out, but you're not allowed to like smile or celebrate or anything. You have to go, thank you very much for a lovely game of fives, and then like somberly put your hand behind your back.
This sounds so like British public school system.
Oh yeah. And
there are proper rules to play the game by.
Yeah, and it's very psychological. So you try and fuck with people. Like when they win, you go like, yes, mate, and like try and get them to high five you or whatever. So then like sometimes someone's drunk, so they'll do it, and then you're like back in.
That's awesome.
I remember once turning up at it was a New Year's Eve party at my mate's uni house in Cambridge, and like he lived with all of the like rugby team from the college who were, I would say for rugby boys, they were unusually nice. Like when they were sober, they were like really pleasant, very friendly, like not like overly laddie or anything, but when they had like 4 pints, they were like feral. Like there was like no stopping them. So we turn up, and the first thing they're doing is like, right, we're going to play a game of fives. There's like 30 people, so we're like, and like the person who lost the game, so it's only one. Like your chances of losing are pretty low because there's a lot of people playing. But the person who lost had to drink an entire highball glass of ouzo.
Oh, what's highball? That's like a rocks glass,
like the glass that serve you a Coke or a gin and tonic in a pub.
Yeah. Also, like a half pint or something.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Oh.
And it probably had some water in it, but still. And so then we get around. And so I'm just like not playing very well. Like I'm normally like decent at fives, and it gets and I'm like, I might actually lose this. And then I did, and I had to, and it just destroyed my entire evening.
Oh,
because I'd already had a couple of drinks, and then that just fucking, and it was like blackout. Like I don't remember anything that happened that evening. Apparently I was found asleep on the stairs at one point.
Amazing.
Yeah, and then the next day I had the proper like you wake up at 1 p.m. and you're like, I need to vomit.
Oh God.
It was pretty bad. Yeah, I was there with my mate Charlie, and all the rugby boys are like fine. They're like making us cups of tea. Like, how you feeling this morning? I'm like, well, terrible, thanks to you. And
they're like all nice now, because they're like cocky because they didn't win.
And I just remember
they didn't lose. Sorry.
I was like looking at my phone, and I had a Snapchat from this guy who he ran the bike shop. He was a bit older. He was maybe like 28. But me and my mate used to work in the bike shop sometimes. But he was like he made like a lot of money, and he was a real like lad about town guy. And I had a Snapchat from him, which really dates this anecdote. Yeah. And my mate's like, "Oh, you're not gonna open that?" And I'm like, "No, it's a Snapchat from him at 1 p.m. on New Year's Day. There's no way this isn't a close-up video of him taking a shit." And like, I can't face that right now. And he's like, how do you know that? And I'm like, trust me, I just know. And then so it got to like 6 p.m. We're getting the train home. I felt a bit better. I was like, okay, we can watch it now and you can see that I'm right. And it was like, he'd managed to get the phone in the toilet bowl.
It was him taking a shit.
He's like filming the shit coming out of his ass. I'm like, the cinematography.
Was he doing that? Is that a thing that he used to always do?
Yeah, like him and his mates would all send each other like videos and pictures of them themselves taking a shit, which is like, that is high British lad culture right there. And then he would send them to me, and I'm like, I don't know why you're looping me in on this. Like, you're never going to get a video of me taking a shit. I want to make that clear.
That's so wild, man. I mean, look, I didn't expect to be talking about this, but like sometimes I'm like, I've taken a nice shit. I feel good.
Yeah.
I want to share it with someone, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm never gonna. No way, man.
It's better shared in the oral tradition, I think. You don't need a picture or a video. I think just texting someone and just like had a great shit would do, you know.
Also, with like AI video coming through now, who's to say that even was your shit, you know?
Yeah.
Who's to say that you haven't just like deep faked a shit to try and gain cred with the boys on New Year's Day?
Yeah, I don't actually shit. I never learned.
I never learned how to
just
shit.
piss.
Yeah.
I've got like a macerator in my bladder. It all just comes out fluid.
This is disgusting stuff.
It really
This is truly torrid content.
We've really gone on a tangent here.
We absolutely have. I feel like I might be about to wrap us up, mate. Any last thoughts on this beer? I like it. I'll probably buy more. I actually couldn't remember what it tasted like. I have had one in Perth a while ago, but I'll definitely buy some of these. Shout out to Lightning Minds, Brightening Minds. There's something about that I really like at the end there.
And do you feel like your mind has been brightened?
My mind has absolutely been brightened by this non-alcoholic beer pale ale. Yes, it's beautiful stuff. This beer has been developed to bring a positive balance to one's health and happiness, a way of enjoying the goodness of a refreshing beer without any of the downsides.
It can change your life. That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
You know? In case you're worried, this beer, it will improve.
This beer is a wellness product.
Yeah.
I love that angle.
Finances are going to be better organized. Yes. People are going to like you more.
You'll be able to see a little bit further into the distance around the curvature of the earth.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
That is good.
Yeah. Everything you need.
Absolutely.
This probably won't come out for ages, like 2 months or so from now. But you got anything that you want to plug?
I do a bunch of podcasts. You can check. Aidan's been on all of them.
I've been on all of these pods, mate.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm hoping that some of the listeners of those pods will be listening to this.
And then I can refer them back
to your pod.
Yeah, exactly.
In an infinite loop forever.
Yeah, I do a podcast called TRASHFUTURE that's about politics. It's a comedy show. And then I also do a more silly podcast about Seinfeld. You don't really need to know anything about Seinfeld, like I don't know anything about Seinfeld. That's kind of the bit with the podcast. It's just kind of like a fun show with comedians. When
I first watched Seinfeld to be on that pod, didn't like it. And now after my third episode over like 2 years, I'm like, maybe I do kind of like it.
Yeah, my thing with Seinfeld is
I think the best show of all time. It's okay.
For a sitcom from the early 90s, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Because when you compare it with like its peer shows, you're like, fuck, those haven't aged well. 100%. Whereas like Seinfeld, kind of like the characters are good enough and there's like funny enough ideas in it that you can still be like, you know what? Even though this is a thing about like ringing the speaking clock or like stuff that no one can relate to anymore, you know, there's still something about it.
Yeah. Totally. Well, sick, man. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
Once again, shout outs to OzNonAlc, oznonalc.com.au for all your alcohol-free drink needs, delivering all over Australia. There's been Still Not Drunk. I'm Aidan Jones.
If you live in Kalgoorlie or Broome.
If you live in Kalgoorlie, they're coming for you, mate.
They will. They'll be there. They're in your wardrobe right now.
All right. That's it.
Bye-bye. Catch you later. Bye.